Hi everyone, welcome to the first week of our course, Philosophy 4. We're going to do a little nuts and bolts on how to use SAC-CT and so forth, but let's talk about what the course is really about. What is critical thinking? Here's my favorite definition. To think critically is, among other things, to be fair and open-minded while thinking carefully about what to do or what to believe. If you're a critical thinker, you'll ask for reasons before you believe something, or for or against doing something. And you'll make your decision on a fair assessment of the reasons that you can think of that tilt one way or the other. So you won't make your decision on the basis of just your emotions or on the basis of what your astrology column says, or whether the person giving you a reason talks loudly or looks really sincere. You'll realize that you should look through all that. Okay, so let's take an example. Suppose someone wants, you don't have a sofa, and someone says, oh, we should buy my sofa. Okay, now, as a critical thinker, what do you think of next? Well, you're faced with a claim here about buy my sofa, and what are the reasons you're going to base that decision on? Not on the flip of a coin. That's not a good reason, right? You're going to weigh what we call the pros and cons, the reasons for and the reasons against, and try to come up with a result that way. Okay, now what's a pro? Well, a pro is you'd be more comfortable sitting on a sofa than sitting on the floor, usually. What's a con? Well, hey, the sofa could have bed bugs, right? They're no fun. Now, can you think of other pros and other cons that you'd weigh? It isn't just, well, I don't want to sit on the floor versus I don't want to get bed bugs, right? I mean, what are the other factors? Well, the price is a relevant factor, right? You thought of that. It's like if this sofa is $13,000 or if the sofa is $43, it could make a big difference. And you can think of other cons, right? Like, well, I'll just let you think about them, okay? Maybe you're going to buy a sofa someday. So you want to accept or reject a claim only for good reasons. And you want to be able to draw conclusions from a claim because that'll help you see the consequences and whether those consequences of accepting the claim are good or bad. The claim might be, it's time now to attack a certain country. Well, what are the pros and cons? So a critical thinker is characterized in large part by an attitude. It's an attitude of desiring to avoid nonsense, to find the truth and to discover the best action. It's an attitude that rejects intuiting the truth in favor of demanding good reasons. So to be a critical thinker, you really need to be fair and open-minded, even with people you disagree with. So it's a fairly high standard to be a critical thinker. But it's essential to adopt this attitude of the critical thinker if you're going to avoid some of the garbage in life that's thrown at you. Okay. Now, a critical thinker isn't a hypercritical thinker, one that finds fault everywhere and never accepts any kind of claim. The point isn't to be so critical that you make mountains out of molehills by overstating minor faults. Another factor in critical thinking is that you're self-aware. You know to the degree to which you know. You know some things more strongly than others. For example, suppose you say you know math. Well, you know math. Yes, you know a lot of math compared to the average fourth grader. You're on fourth grade mathematics, you're probably an expert. but you're in no position to make decisions on whether certain research articles in mathematics should be published in a mathematics journal or not published in the mathematics journal. Right? So your knowledge comes in degrees. Now, here's a definition of critical thinking that I like. It's from a bill in the California State Senate that was trying to update the state's education code. It's a brief definition, and here it is. Critical thinking is the ability to engage in reasoned discourse with intellectual standards such as clarity, accuracy, precision, and logic, and to use analytic skills with a fundamental value orientation that emphasizes intellectual humility, intellectual integrity, and fair-mindedness. That's packing a lot into a single sentence, but I think it's the best single sentence that you'll find in government work. Here's another definition. This is even briefer. It's from the Educational Testing Service that they give out. They create the graduate record exam and the SAT and stuff like that. You take SATs to get into colleges, to become a first-year student and so forth. The GRE is the test for getting into graduate school. It's just a version of the SAT, but more difficult. Okay, anyway, here's how they define critical thinking. Critical thinking is a set of skills. The skills involve the ability to reason, to assemble evidence in order to develop a position, and to communicate complex ideas. Okay, there you are. So that's what our course is about. Final thought is that first you don't succeed, then skydiving is not for you. Oh, that's nothing to do with our course. Okay. Let me expand this notion of skills. The claim here was that from the perspective of the Educational Testing Service, critical thinking is a body of skills. Okay. Now you have these skills. The question is, the critical thinking, the question is, to what level do you have those skills? How good of a critical thinker are you? Let me give you a much longer list of these skills. These are critical thinking skills. Okay. They're not necessarily listed in order of importance, but let's take a look. Okay, so one of them is locate an argument in a passage. So if you, for example, see a big newspaper article, can you see the argument in there that they're trying to get across? Especially if this, say, is an editorial. Can you pull out, could you summarize that argument in there? Pull it out. A lot of sentences aren't about the argument. Okay, number 2, you're able to detect errors in reasoning and explain how the reasoning is in error. Right? It's one thing to say there's something screwy about that passage, but there's something else again, a higher level of critical thinking skills, it's to say exactly why it's screwy. That is, where's the fault? Certain kinds of faults are called fallacies. Okay, number 3. You have the skill to evaluate evidence and make appropriate inferences from that evidence. Draw conclusions from the evidence. 4th skill. Distinguish whether an argument's conclusion follows with certainty or only with probability. Later on in the course, we're going to see that this difference is the difference between deductive validity and inductive strength, but you're not supposed to know what those terms mean at this point. 5th. Identify implicit assumptions. People oftentimes give you reasons and they expect you to already accept certain assumptions that they've made, and perhaps those assumptions need to be re-examined and always brought to the fore. 6th, identify the issue in a disagreement. What's this all about? What are they disagreeing about? What it's about is the issue, like whether to do this, or is that so or not so? That's the issue. Okay. It's a little like the topic. We'll get into this point in greater detail in our course. Okay. Number 7, detect logical inconsistency. you have the ability to see that something conflicts with something, right? That's a critical thinking skill. The technical term is logical inconsistency. You're spotting a contradiction. These two things can't both be right. They conflict with each other. Or this set of things can't be right. Something in there, they conflict with each other. We'll look at many examples. Number 8, you have the skill to detect and remove vagueness and ambiguity where necessary. Imprecision. You're sensitive to imprecision. Where it's important and where, who cares? Okay. 9, you have the skill to identify the point or purpose of someone's remark. For example, is the person asking something? Are they making a claim? Are they arguing? Are they threatening? Are they joking? You've got to get it. Important skill. Okay. Number 10. Create an argument that avoids the fallacies and makes a plausible case for a position on an issue. Can you construct an argument? Error-free. Number 11. Given an argument on a controversial issue, create a plausible argument that defends a different conclusion or the opposite conclusion. You've got to put yourself in the shoes of the opponent, and then you'll understand the argument much better. Okay, number 12. Detect when someone is asking a bad question because it's loaded or because it's a red herring. Okay, the term red herring is a technical term that we'll learn about later. Loaded questions you're probably already familiar with, right? Many examples to come. 13. Be able to explain in what way this is analogous to that. You can spot similarities, right, and say what's similar to what. Important skill. The last 14th skill is compare the quality of two competing explanations. Now you already have all these 14 skills, but a critical thinking course is designed to improve your skills, and hopefully at the end of this semester you'll have a higher level skill set.